Like many of us, when we first learn the pentatonic scale, we're shown something that looks like this. But the pentatonic scale only has 5 notes. That pattern has 12. What's up with that? That's part of the confusion I had with the pentatonic scale. Whenever I tried to incorporate that scale, it sounded clunky. It didn't sound very musical. It wasn't until I approached the pentatonic scale on a quantum level that things started to make sense. What I mean by that is I broke it down to its 5 essential notes and took a look at how to assemble these 5 notes all over the fretboard. And what we find is when we take that approach, we have these smaller shapes that reoccur over and over again. Once we get a grasp of that, all these other patterns start to just come together. So this approach helped me to play more musically and navigate all up and down the fretboard, achieving more creative freedom and musical confidence overall. So whether you're just learning the pentatonic scales or you've been playing them for a while, I think you're going to get some value out of this lesson. Quantum Pentatonics, that's what we're doing today on Ray Plays Guitar, and I'm going to do it as simply as possible. Let's get into it. So yeah, the pentatonic scale only has 5 notes. It has a root, a flat third, a fourth, a fifth, and a flatted 7th. Now I know, it's starting to sound like theoretical mumbo jumbo already. Don't let these terms scare you. They're just names of the notes that we're going to play. We're going to take them one by one. We're going to start with the root. And for today, we're going to be playing an A minor pentatonic. So our root is the note A. E. So we're going to identify all the A's on the fretboard, starting with our lowest A. This open A, open 5th string. There's A. We also have that same exact A that we could play on the 5th fret of the 6th string. Same A, and A. If we go up an octave, we get to this A. We can play it on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 7th fret of the 4th string, 12th fret of the 5th string, and 17th fret of the 6th string. They're all the exact same A. They all have slightly different timbres, though, or different tonal qualities. That sounds a little different than this, but they're the exact same pitch. Now, if we go up an octave, here's our next A. 5th fret of the 1st string, 10th fret of the 2nd string, 14th fret of the 3rd string, and 19th fret of the 4th string. And then we can go up one more octave, and that gives us this A right here on the 17th fret of the 1st string. Those are all the A's on the fretboard. Now we're going to add one note of the pentatonic scale at a time. The first note we're going to add is the flatted 7th. The flatted 7th is just a whole step below the root. So if we have this A here, we have this root here, a whole step is 2 frets. So we can take this A, go down 2 frets, there's our flatted 7th. And that's it. Now we could play that flatted 7th 2 ways, either on the same string like this, or on 2 different strings. If I do it on 2 different strings, here's my root, flat 7 is on the string above it, physically, the string below it, sonically, and it's, I'm going up 3 frets to grab that note. So, root, flat 7 on the same string, root, flat 7 on 2 different strings. And we could do that from every root. Open, flat 7, open. Root, flat 7, root. Go up an octave. Root, flat 7, open on the same string, back to the root. On 2 different strings, root, flat 7, root. Same thing here. Root, flat 7, same string, root, flat 7, 2 different strings. Go up to this root, root, flat 7, on 2 different strings. And then in this position, we only have the same string option here. So, all the same notes. If we can go up an octave, same string, 2 different strings. Flat 7, same string, 2 different strings. Now in this instance, we have a root and a flat 7 here. Because of that 3rd string to 2nd string relationship, we have to adjust that 2nd string. So this shape just winds up being like that. flat 7, root, same string, root, flat 7, two different strings. And then there's our final position. Hey rock stars, you want to crank it up a notch? Then head on over to rayplaysguitar.com for killer merch and the chance to become a producer partner. When you join the crew, you get exclusive lessons, riffs, and behind-the-scenes content, free downloads and surprise gear giveaways, discounts on merch, and you'll be directly fueling the tone train here at Ray Plays Guitar. We have brand new shirt designs, as well as hats, shoes, backpacks, backing tracks, fanny packs, coffee mugs, and much more. If you're into riffs, tone chasing, and keeping real guitar music alive, rayplaysguitar.com is where it's at. Join up, plug in, and let's rock! So roots and flat 7s everywhere. Now we're going to add the note above the root, which is called the flatted third. So if we have this root here, a flatted third is 3 frets away on the same string. 1, 2, 3, there's our flatted third. Root, flat third, back to the root. Flat 7, root. I could play that all on one string like this, or on 2 different strings, like that. Root, flat third, back to the root. Notice, the flat third and the flat 7 are on the same frets, just on different strings. Same thing here. If you go up here, root, flat third, there's a flat 7 right there. Same relationship. From every root, open A, flat third, open A, flat 7, back to the root. Do it from this root. Root, flat third, root, flat 7, back to the root. We could do this here also like this, all on one string. We go up an octave, we can do it all on one string, like that. 2 different strings like that, or we could put the flatted third over here and the flatted 7 open, or however you want to do it. But in this case, the flat third is going to be just 1 fret away from the 3rd string to the 2nd string. Same thing from this root. We have a flatted third here and a root, or flatted third here, flatted 7. Here we have a root, flat third, root, flat 7, root. Flat third, root, flat 7, root. Those are all the same notes. So we have the root, flat third, and the flatted 7th. Now we're going to add the 4th. The 4th is just a whole step up from the flatted third. So if we have a root here, flat third, the 4th is just a whole step or 2 frets above the flatted third. We play it on 2 different strings like this. Root, flat third, there's the 4th. Another way to think about it is the 4th is always on the same fret as the root. Root, 4th. We have a root, flat third, 4th, flat third, root, flat 7, and then back to the root. Well, now we have kind of a box. If I play it all on one string, I could play it like that, or I could play it like this. root, flat third on the same string, put the fourth on the next string. Remember, it's the same fret as the root. And then put the flat 7 over there. Exact same as that. If I started from here, root, flat third, the fourth would be here or here. You just have to make that adjustment for that second string again. But that's the same thing as... So from every one of those positions, I can access these notes. All the same thing. Now here I'm running out of frets, but I could take that flat third and bend it up a full step to access that fourth. So we have a root, flat third, fourth, and a flat 7. That's 4 out of the 5 notes right there. The last note is the 5th. Now the 5th is a whole step up from the 4th. So if we have a root, flat third, a 4th, there's our 5th. And with our flatted 7th, those are the 5 notes of a minor pentatonic scale. In fact, this makes a really cool pattern. We have a box, and then that 5th gets kicked out. So we can go box, and then slide up 2. Now we can repeat this pattern, like we could start at this root, grab the flat 7, root, flat third, 4, 5. And then flat 7, root, flat third, 4, 5. And then flat 7, root, flat third, 4, 5. We put all that together. We have a nice little run there. Another way to think about it is wherever we have a root, a 5th is going to be right here. So we have a root, 4th this way, root, 5th this way. So there's 5 notes of the pentatonic scale right there. 5th, flat 7, root, flat third, and our 4th. Root, flat third, 4th, 5th, flat 7, 5th. And then wherever there's a 5th, the flat 5 is right next to it. Another way you can think about it is wherever there's a 4th, flat 5 is right next to that. So between the 4th and the 5th, we have that blue note. So we identify the roots, then we identify the 4 other notes in the pentatonic scale that kind of surround that root. And then I would practice just staying in one area. Maybe see how you could do similar licks in different ways. Another approach is to practice these pentatonic scales all along one string. So if you have a root, flat third, 3 frets away, fourth is a whole step up, fifth is a whole step from there, flat at 7 is a minor third up from the fifth, and then you got a whole step back to the root. But each note of the scale has a particular sound, and it's a good idea to get to know every single note and what it sounds like in relation to the root. And as long as we've identified these notes, another cool thing that we could do is to be a little bit more intentional when we're improvising, especially over the blues. Like on the 1 chord, in the key of A in this case, we're playing an A chord or an A7 type chord. So our root is A. So if I do licks kind of centered around that A, things sound good. So when it goes to the 4 chord, play licks centered around the 4 note. In this case, D. Likewise, when it goes to the 5 chord, go to that 5 note. We're not even involving any other chord tones. We're just targeting the root of each chord. And even if I do that without a backing track, you can kind of hear the progression. Let me see if I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2. So just simply targeting the roots of the chord that's happening at the time can bring another level of musicality to your improvisations. Also, another thing to do with these pentatonic scales is to apply a slight bend to certain these notes. Like, for example, the flatted third. Get a little bit of a bend. You can, if you bend it a half bend, well, then we're getting into a major tonality, and sometimes you want to do that. But if you just bend it a little bit, it still sounds minor, but you add a little bit of style onto that note. Same thing with the flatted 7th. You can bend that note a little bit. Flat 7th. There's a popular lick where you actually bend the flatted 7th up to the root, but then you actually play the root on a different string. Also, wherever there's a 4, the flat 5 is right next to it. So that little inflection is kind of a nice little thing. And right there, that's a nice little line. That's Quantum Pentatonics in a nutshell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that notification bell. But most of all, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.